Welcome to Indie Tea with your host, me, Peter Lancellotti. And today, hailing from Germany, Bavaria in particular, we have Sebastian from the Creeping Candies. If I ever had a child, Sebastian, I would call him that because that's my favorite name in the whole wide world, and I'll tell you why privately later. So, my child, take us back to Augsburg in 1985. What actually pushed four school friends to start the Creeping Candies?
Augsburg was a very boring city by that time. We hated it to be here, and it took some time to get the punk movement going in our city. But by that time, it was really starting to be a big thing in a small part of the town. And so what we found out is that the idea of punk that you don't have to be good at your instrument, you got to go on stage was the right one for us. But we weren't so much into that music. We were more into like music from the 60s, but that didn't matter. We took some instruments and started it. Yeah.
Your debut album, Lesh, came out just a year later in 1986. Now, that's pretty fast. How did
Yeah,
any band manage to pull that off so fast?
it was like by chance, to be honest, because to get some gigs, you had to organize them by yourself. And we knew if we would organize a gig in a venue we found a cool venue, nobody would come. So we organized bands that we liked and we could pay,
Yeah.
play there, and we played as a support in front of them. And one of these guys we met by organizing these concerts was Nicky Sudden.
That was going to be my next question. He seemed to be
Yeah,
very important early on. What was your first meeting like with him? And go on with that.
yeah, he was from from London, and he was a friend of the Stones, especially from Mick Taylor and
When you say the Stones, you mean the Rolling Stones?
yeah, the Rolling Stones. He
Mick
was a big
Jagger?
fan.
Mick
Yeah,
Jagger?
yeah, he knew Jagger and Richards too, but he was a big friend of more like the other Stones, the not so famous ones, like Mick Taylor, who was a guitar player for in the 70s,
I don't know.
and Ronnie Wood. He was a good friend of Ronnie Wood, and so he was a cool guy,
You guys
and
have been
he
around for a long time.
yeah. And he knew them, and but he didn't want to. He was like a man who did a time travel from the 60s in the 80s, and was dressed like an English gentleman and stuff like that. And he liked the candies and this fresh and not perfect way of just jumping on the stage and play. This was like when he realized they're really young guys, like 17, 18, and they want to do this stuff and not the normal post-punk or
Right. Was there a moment during the earlier shows where you realized that this band was going to get real attention? Because you do. I mean,
it
SPEX
was.
magazine called you the spearhead of the South German independent
Yeah,
scene. That must
it
have been
was,
exciting, or was it terrifying?
remember, we started 85 and 86, the first album came out, and it came out on a record label which was really, really, really cool by that time in Germany. Suddenly it was like you jump in a roller coaster and it goes up and down and turn around and the loops and stuff. And we were in that roller coaster. Um, and this went on till 1980. We did the second record 1988, the first 1986, and then there was a lot of rumors going on. Magazines, fanzines, they liked us. There was booking. There were a lot of people who said, "Hey, great! Where do you come from? We make you famous and stuff." But nobody wanted it. It
Really? That's weird. I mean,
was
okay.
like,
Well,
uh,
the original lineup
yeah,
split during the kind of the peak of your success. What actually
yeah,
happened? What caused the rift?
yeah. It was too much, too quick.
Too much
So
attention, and everybody was just like, "Oh my God, what do we do?"
after 2 years of playing all the time with not enough money, being on the road and having jobs by by the
Right.
way,
Got to pay the bills, of course.
yeah, pay the bills and stuff like that.
How old were you when that all took place?
Nine,
Everything got terrifying.
19,
You were
like that.
19?
Yeah.
Wow, that's young. I mean, I was starting to play in bands when I was 17. It didn't get well. I was in cover bands all the time. We never did original, but I think things started to get like a little bit. Well, popularity is overrated, but when it happens, it's just like, oh God. Like I was a wallflower in high school. And then I don't know, some people from high school knew that I was in bands. They're like, wow, Peter sings, he plays a guitar, he plays a keyboard. When the hell did he do that? He's just like, usually you can't even see him in high school. But yeah, it happens. And then we get, you know, well, I didn't really get blown away about that until I was in my 20s, and I was in college by then. And I was still living in a basement apartment near in my parents' house. That was weird. Anyway, back to you. Do you think
So
things would have turned out differently if the band had stayed together longer in the original lineup? Like the '90s revival, or give me a spin on that.
hmm, I don't know.
Or
First lineup had this old organ, like nobody had that. It was like a cheesy Forfisa organ thing, a bit Doors style and stuff like that. And a lot of people loved that because of the Doors look-alike, because it was the 60s psychedelic stuff. And maybe this would have given the band more of a continuity, but they split up and they, for a long time, never talked to each other. The first bass player and Hölle, they can't even talk in these days. We met.
really, 40 years together and all this happened.
uh,
When the band came back to life with the Canadian songwriter Brother John,
yeah,
with his arrival in Augsburg, that's an unusual catalyst. How did that collaboration start?
it was by chance because the second bassman, Pulle, who's still the bassman, played bass since 1988 when they had the biggest shows, like big venues, really well-known venues in Germany where big bands play, and they played them and they were packed. And Pulle jumped on board and played with the Candies. And then 1990, after another big show, they said, okay, what we need now is a break. And then this break took till 1996.
You were touring as like Brother John and the Creeping Candy?
Yeah, and then Pulle was asked by a friend, hey, we got this singer-songwriter from Canada. He's moved to Augsburg and he wants to have a band to play with him live, and we want you to play bass. Do you know any other musicians? So he called the Candies and said, hey, boys, no problem, no pressure, because we are the band from Brother John. We play his songs, and it's not about us, it's about him.
Right.
And that's where it started, and fun came back
That's
to the
good. You know, I was doing a little research, and I remember that Nicky Sudden produced a few of your albums. What did he bring out in your music that maybe another producer did not or wouldn't have?
confidence. I think it was a lot of confidence that he gave to the band, and he said, "Hey, boys, we
My
we
child.
we rent a studio, we go there, but we don't do the bullshit studio thing because by that time in the late 80s things were really getting weird and people tried to play perfect and editing and stuff like that. He wasn't that kind of guy. He was a 60s guy, and he said
Let's
we
mess it up. Let's get crazy and mess it up.
and we try to get the right moments, and that's what we do when we go to the studio. Since then, we try to record a really good moment. Try to do several runs of songs. The th is coming off, and then try to
You
capture.
speak impeccable English, by the way. I was very impressed. I was like, I hope this goes well, and I hope I don't say anything that he doesn't understand or that I don't talk too fast. But you multilingual, like German, English, any other languages?
There used to be French, but French is almost gone.
Me too. In fact, I'm half Canadian, well, 45% Canadian, 45% Italian, 10% alien from outer space. But I used to speak Canadian French, and then when I was about 8, my mother said to my grandmother, she says, "Stop teaching him French. Canadian French is peasant French." So I just stopped talking French eventually. Anyway, when Nikki passed away in
Yeah.
2006, how did that affect you personally, the band, musically?
Well, Nicky had drug problems for a long time. He was like real rock and roll guy, and the real rock and rollers were talking about sex, drugs, and rock and roll. And he took it serious with the drugs and was addicted to heroin. And it was a very tough life he lived for. And so he died during no, after a show he did in New York. He finished the show, went to the hotel and died, and we didn't record the last album, which was from 2005 when he was still alive, together with him, because the album from 2001, when he was in the studio with us, it was completely different to those albums in the 80s, because he was really, really heavy on drugs, and he was like
Wow. I'm very sorry to hear all
in
that.
the corner and stuff like that. But he listened. We thought the guy is gone. He doesn't. Not the same as he used to be. But then, like he was sitting there, like sleeping, and then
Like
suddenly he said,
like a
"This was
zombie.
a good moment. We take this one."
Oh,
And
like so like all of a sudden he woke up.
yeah,
Okay, let's
so
I don't
the
want
ways were splitting by that time before he died.
well, you had like lineup changes, long breaks, reunions, and yet the band still exists 40 years later. What
Yeah,
kept pulling you back together?
it's very simple. We love to spend time together. That's it.
Does the band like okay, compare your band today to the dynamic you had many years ago? What's different about the Creeping Candies?
I would say it's better because all the egos are gone, and we meet because we want to meet, and we spend time together because we want to. There's no pressure. The only pressure that there is the pressure that we do to ourselves. And so,
Age humbles us, doesn't it? I was talking with Joe
yeah,
Punk about that. It's like, I'm 64. The older I get, the less I know. When I was 24, I knew everything.
yes, you do everything. And and yeah, what is funny is that we feel much freer to do what we want to do. So in the early days, there was like, if you were like the Creeping Candies were a freak among all these post-punk bands,
Mm.
because nobody did like 60s style music and was
I like your
oriented.
style. I was listening to everything. I was like, I went back in time a little bit too. And I was like, wow, you got a little bit of everything. It's punk. There's even a tiny bit of country so here and there. I'm just
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
weird for a country,
We
for
call it truth country.
yeah,
Yeah,
I was like, wow, that was weird for punk.
yeah.
I've read that critics often compare your sound to Lou Reed, Iggy Pop, and the Stones, like you mentioned earlier. Do those comparisons sound right to you?
That's okay. Some people sometimes compare us to the Dire Straits, and
Dire
that's
Straits,
Dire Straits. Yeah,
money for nothing and your chicks for free.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's funny. We don't agree, but we love Lou Reed. We love Iggy Pop. No, yeah,
Me
that's
too. That's
fine.
why I gravitated right to it. I got to interview these guys. I'm so glad that you spoke English too, because I
Yeah.
thought I don't know how to do the interpretation thing. We're not going to do an interview with Google Translate.
No, that
Your
would be boring.
songs, Creeping Candies, your songs,
Yeah.
they've now crossed over 100,000 streams on Spotify, and your YouTube channel has tens of thousands of views. Does that kind of a digital audience feel different from the old underground scene?
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. Because you can see, oh, there's a lot of people over in the USA
I love
who,
you. I mean, I know lots
yeah,
of people here are
we are
listening to you.
talking. That
Yeah.
wouldn't be possible without these digital stuff. And we came late to the party because we decided to go to Spotify and YouTube, like, I don't know, maybe not, not maybe 10 years ago, maybe
Hey,
less.
I only went on a year ago. I mean, I took a hiatus for almost 30 years from music. I was married, long story. That's in one of my other episodes. But I know, I mean, I went last year. I just discovered the whole world of DAWs and doing collaborations, remotely dropping your stems in Dropbox as long as you, start at the very beginning. And it's bizarre. I mean, I've done collaboration with people I've never even met.
Hmm.
So it's really kind of cool. So this is the 40-year anniversary for the Creeping Candies, which includes books, releases, and live shows. Did you ever imagine the band would reach a milestone like that?
No, nobody cared about that by that time. I think uh, years ago, everybody thought, okay, by that time we are old, we can't do it anymore, we won't do it anymore. Nobody would come to any concert to listen. But so time has
Well,
changed.
with the advent of all of this digital, like right now, you're in Los Angeles and I'm in Bavaria. It's like, wow, I never even thought this would happen. So the new album,
Yeah.
Invincible, has been described as fresh, energetic, and a little bit of nostalgia in it. Was that an intentional thing?
We are happy about those comments because what we try, as I said, is to record things nearly live. We record them nearly the same way we do it on stage because that is what we do for so long.
I think I heard clapping at the end of one of the songs that I was listening to earlier on the Spotify.
There's some we have
It
one
was very
thing.
tight, by the way. It was very tight. I thought to myself,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
great
This is a
recording,
pure
but it
live
was live.
recording.
But it was
This was
live.
that we had we wanted after the first or the second, I don't remember, album, there was the plan to record a live album. And there was really a lot of efforts taken to record shows and a lot of material and all these tape machines and this stuff. It took a lot of money, and those shows were bullshit. Everybody was like, "Oh, we're recording," and nothing. You could use nothing, but the idea of recording live was always there. And in our home base club in Augsburg, there is after the pandemic, they invested some money to have a better PA system, and they invested money so that it's easy to record it, every instrument by itself, like in the studio. And that day, when in October 2023, we said, okay, let's try it. Well, we record this whole evening and let's
You know,
see. Maybe,
this is something I've never asked anyone, and I'm curious. A
yeah,
band like the Creeping Candies that kind of really just is driven by live performance. You must have gone out of your mind during the pandemic of COVID. What were you doing? Because I was writing a book. I was writing a memoir and a science fiction story.
yeah,
We
it
were
was.
all, we were all sentenced to self-imposed exile.
It was. By that time, Hölle, the singer, lived on the countryside, and they had a big barn. And after the first year, when it was forbidden to practice, it was said if you kept the distance from like 3 meters, which is 3 meters is
Yeah, I know it's about a little more than a yard, like a little more than a yard.
yes.
In
I mean, it's,
America's the only one that still uses inches.
yeah. Okay, yeah. I
I know
don't.
what a meter
Yeah,
is.
but it's some.
You had to stay a distance.
Oh,
Did
if
you
you
wear
could have the
masks?
distance and you had a big room where you can play, you were allowed to play. So we practiced, but only in summer times because there was no heating. We practiced in this barn. But then we lost our drummer because he was like, he said, no, there's no pandemic, there's no corona. No,
And
no, no.
he got sick.
No, he didn't. But the wife of Pulle, our bass player, she's very sick and has multiple illnesses and stuff. And she was like deeply in danger. And we said, okay, what we have to do is we take the vaccines and do everything for him,
Mm.
that he would be that guy who will bring corona to his wife. And
Mhm.
the doctor
What did
said,
your wife have to say about all that?
she's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's the coolest.
Let's shift for a second. What's the most ridiculous moment in the band's history that never made it into the official story?
The most ridiculous story.
Yeah, the one that nobody hears about. They're gonna hear about it here.
Oh, there's a nice, like, we never talk about it, but if you play very much as we do, it's like we don't have a bus where all the equipment and all the musicians have place in one bus. So we have to drive with 2 cars, and Hölle and and Pulle drive in one car, and we Axel and me, we drive in the other car, and they have a very special like sense of finding their ways, and sometimes they find ways which are not there, and they get lost.
You mean you're talking about back roads?
Back roads, yeah, yeah, between fields and stuff like
Oh
that.
my God! Like
Sometimes
going
they
through
are
a
really big,
cornfield?
but sometimes, yeah, we are there for like an hour and wait, and nobody's coming, and that's one of those funny things. And sometimes uh, they arrive like half an hour in front of us, and we drove the best roads. We looked on the road maps and stuff like that, and they are quicker than we are because some of their ways are sometimes.
That's amazing. That must be
Yeah,
like bizarre.
yeah,
This is what you're doing now, right? This is
yeah.
what you.
That's what we're doing now. Yeah.
If you could go back to 1985 and give the young Sebastian of the Creeping Candies some advice, what would it be now that you are wise?
I would say stay cool. That's
Stay cool.
the best advice.
You
Stay
mean
cool.
refrigerated or just like attitude?
Yeah, but because if you're if you're not cool, you can't really feel all what is happening around you, because if there's a lot of things happening and a lot of crazy stuff is happening, a lot of good things are going on, and you are so concentrated to be cool and to be like cool, and not the good cool, the bad cool, to be the tough guy, and
Oh, the fake
hey,
stuff, the fake
yeah,
stuff.
the
That's
fake.
funny. I try to, when I'm looking for bands that I want on the show, I'm always looking for people that are very interested in building community, helping one another. Somebody actually asked me one time, how much does it cost to be on your show? What? I guess some people, do that. I do this because I am trying to strengthen the community that's already there. I feel like I'm just a small extension of that. And I love people like yourself and everyone I've had on the show who's interested in community building. And if I were to give advice to any band, which, well, I don't have to tell you, but if anybody's listening out there and doesn't know, get into the community, the indie community, because we don't have marketing budgets. We need to align ourselves with the algorithms so that working together, my audience is exposed to your music, your audience is exposed. I'd love to get your audience exposed to my music. I don't have a big audience. I just started again last year in May. And you guys, you've been, like I said, I was looking at your numbers. Whoa, I don't even have 1,000 on any of my songs yet. Getting there, close on a couple of them. I'm getting better at putting playlists together on Spotify and getting
Mhm.
them out there. Like, I got you guys on a playlist, I think with one of my songs. I try to put one of my songs in it because I play so many different genres. I can't be categorized. My friend Catherine Graham, she was on the show. She says, you should come out with an EP. Yeah, in what genre? Classical, religious, rock? What? I'm all over the board. I'm trying to get a little more consistent. Well, I don't know. But you guys are extraordinary. I mean, really extraordinary. You're consistent with your sound. You're original in the category of punk. I don't know anybody that sounds like you guys. You guys are
Thank
amazing.
you. Thank you.
Here you are in Los Angeles, and people in America
Yeah.
love you. People in Europe love you. I think people in even South America love you. How did you find out? How did you find anybody in South America, Australia? I think we probably know somebody in common. Lizzie from the Kathleen Turner
Yeah.
Overdrive.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm trying to get her on the show. She's amazing. But any final words of advice for the audience?
What is from our perspective is a bit strange to see, is that most people don't play live, or don't play live very much. Be in our way, to play live is the best thing you can do when you do music. Find other people, practice, and go on a stage as soon as possible, because the real adventures in music happen if that sometimes it's enough if only one person is listening, but it it changes everything when you play in front of somebody who doesn't know the music and who's hearing it for the first time. And by in that moment, when you in front of these people, you might have a new song. Everybody in the band is in love with this new song, and you play it, and you see that there's people in front of you. Instantly get the feeling, is it really good? Or, oh no, we have to cut this part, or maybe we have to do things like that. And this, for us, is why we do all that. It's okay to go in the studio, it's okay to do videos and stuff like that. But the advice for most of the younger
Play live.
uh,
Play that
guys
live. Play live.
is play live. Try it.
At my age, I'm actually happy doing just the remote stuff because at 64, it's tough in Los Angeles to pull together a band. I mean, there are people that haven't approached me, but I see like a lot of people looking for artists to play live. And I don't know if I don't know if I want to at my age. You know, it just seems weird. I don't have a band that has a history, and you have a history. And I think like you and Vanessa Tottle in New Zealand, she also does that. She stressed playing live. And I noticed that people that do play live have many more streams than those of us who don't on
Yeah,
all streaming
just
platforms.
you meet people, they love your music. Okay, we have CDs, vinyl, and stuff like that. They buy that, but they often you can see if we play somewhere, the streams go up because people want to listen. If there's more, they bought one CD like that,
Right.
and we have everything else on Spotify and Apple Music and all this, so they can listen there, and that's what you see. Yeah.
Well, I am going to surprise you with, I don't know what song I want to play by you, but it's fading in now. And you'll be surprised. Well, Sebastian, I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your very late evening in Bavaria after your practice to be with me on Indie Tea Demos to Discovery with me, Peter Lancellotti. Sebastian, have a wonderful evening.
You have a wonderful afternoon. It's afternoon in LA, isn't it? Okay, and after that, have a wonderful evening, and then a wonderful night.
In quiet moments, nothing ever feels the same. But time is on, and the memories always stay. Keep them on, and never give away. Gone but not forgotten. Gone but not forgotten. Gone but not forgotten. Gone but not forgotten. Sometime we sit, remember how it used to be. We together were a gang, had fun and we had misery. Those times are gone and we will never come back again. You were a part of this, a long gone link in our chain. And so the days grow long, and the world spins on. We carry you with us, even when we know you're gone. Gone but not forgotten. 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 Gone but not forgotten.